Hello everybody, welcome to the video. Today I, Gundeep Singh Oberoi, am going to deliver a presentation on Discovering Truth, the Saga continues, which has been adapted from the written works by A.R. Williams, a former National Geographic writer. The plot is about a young boy, commonly called as the King Tut, who ruled over the great empire of Egypt for nearly a decade while being a teenager himself. When the reign of Akhenaten, or the father of Tut, came to an end, filled with discombobulation, one or two rulers gained the power of Egypt for a brief period of time, one being the wife of Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and the other supposedly Semenkhare. Then a 9-year-old boyish pharaoh appears and occupies the throne. He was none other than Tutankhaten, literally meaning the living image of Aten. Soon, he marries a mysterious lady, Akhenseparen. With his wife, he turns the power back to the religious capital of Thebes, which had been abandoned by his father, and restored all the ancestral wealth and glory of the temples of his deity, the Amun. And to honor his belief in Amun, he changed his name to Tutankhamun, meaning the living image of the Egyptian god, the Amun. Just 10 years later, stunningly, the young pharaoh dies, leaving no heir to ascend his throne too. The boy died a mystifying death. No one could justify how Tut's reign came to an abrupt end. He was hastily buried in a small tomb, designed originally for a private person rather than a king. In a backlash against Akhenaten's heresy, his successors, the followers of Aten, managed to delete from history nearly all traces of the Amarna kings, including Tutankhamun. However, rather than as an irony, this attempt to erase his memory from the history preserved Tutankhamun for all the time. Less than a century after his death, the location of his tomb had been forgotten. Hidden from robbers by structures built directly above it, it remained virtually untouched until its discovery in 1922. Hidden in the desert canyons west of Nile, the Valley of the Kings holds the tombs of King Tut and his royal relatives. And in antiquity, this was considered a secluded spot. However, there are certain things that even an archaeological record cannot eliminate, and thus the death of Tut still remains a piece of mystery. But a question arises: who were the ancestors of the young pharaoh? To answer this question, let's move back to about 1390 BC, several decades before Tut was even born, when the great pharaoh Amenhotep III assumes the throne of Egypt. Controlling an empire stretching along the river Nile, this king of the 18th dynasty is rich beyond imagining. Along with his powerful queen Tia, Amenhotep III rules for 37 years, worshipping the gods of his ancestor and above all, Amun. While his people prosper and vast wealth flows into the royal coffers from Egyptians' foreign holdings. But as Amenhotep III dies, the tradition and stability of Egypt take a turn with the rise of Amenhotep IV. Contradictory to his father, he, a bizarre visionary, takes the charge and turns the worship from existing gods to a single deity, the Aten, as the disk of sun. He even changes his name to Akhenaten, or he who is beneficial to Aten, and elevates himself to a status of a living god in a thrash against his predecessors. He abandons the traditional religious capital at Thebes, building a great ceremonial city 180 miles to the north at a place now called Amarna. He marries the beautiful lady Nefertiti, Kia, and an unknown lady called as the younger lady, who later gives birth to the 9-year-old pharaoh King Tut. Hidden in the desert canyons west of Nile, the Valley of the Kings holds the tomb of King Tut, which is believed to be a cursed one. It is infamous that those who disturb the pharaoh, death or misfortune befalls him. Several instances of this curse acting were observed, starting from the untimely death of the Howard Carter's dog, or the death of the discoverer of the mummy shortly after the event, and the abrupt stoppage in the working of the CT scan machine. Some people believe the curse to be true. Rather, some consider it a mere coincidence. Whatever be the reason, the curse still remains a skeptical topic. Not only Tut's body, but every Egyptian's royal body was buried along with extravagant treasures. Ancient Egyptians believed in existence of afterlife, and they thought they could take their riches with them. King Tut was lavish with glittering gold and even some everyday items like board games, linen garments, cases of food and wine. Everything is found to be laden with gold, as its eternal brilliance was meant to, or rather hoped to guarantee resurrection. On November 5th, 1922, Howard Carter stumbled upon a lost staircase in the Valley of Kings in Egypt. Carter began investigating the three nested coffins. However, the ritual resin had hardened, cementing Tut's mummy to the bottom of his solid gold coffin. Therefore, he had to use physical force in order to cut the mummy free. In this process, he caused considerable amount of damage to the mummy itself. Howard Carter was an English archaeologist and Egyptologist. He became world famous after discovering the intact tomb of the 18th dynasty pharaoh Tutankhamun in November 1922. Despite the significance of his archaeological find, Carter received no honor from the British government. However, in 1926, he received the Order of the Nile, third class, from the King Fuad I of Egypt. Tut is one among many mummies in Egypt. The Egyptian Mummy Project has recorded almost 600 so far and is still counting. Tut was one of the first mummies to be ever scanned. Some 1700 images were taken of the Tut's mummy during the 15-minute scan, aimed at answering many of the mysteries that shrouded his life and death, including his royal lineage, his exact age at the time of death, and the reason he died. The results of a CT scan done on King Tutankhamun's mummy indicate the boy was not murdered, but may have suffered a badly broken leg shortly before his death at age 19, a wound that could have become infected. But there are mysteries surrounding Tutankhamun that even a CT scanner cannot reveal. Dramatic progress has been made in nuclear physics and X-ray technology, where new technology involving transportable instruments enables archaeological finds to be analyzed in sight rather than having to remove them from the site and study them in a laboratory. Archaeology has reached an exciting and fast progressing period in which mysteries of our past are rapidly emerging and new knowledge about our ancient origins is finally getting pieced together. Anne Williams, or A.R. Williams, is a former senior writer for National Geographic magazine and online news, where she covered the world and all that's in it for almost 30 years. She specialized in archaeology, writing features that took her from Egypt to Alaska and news stories on the latest archaeological discoveries. The story of Tutankhamun is like a play whose ending is still being written. Famous for his tomb full of golden treasures, the boy pharaoh was a pivotal figure in shaping the future of Egypt. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Please like and subscribe and share the video.